you like to keep it up, or you want to just sit there? We don't sit if you want, but. Bob, this is a municipal resolution, the 2023 Greenwood, Maine Spirit of America Foundation Tribute Honors Bob Greenwood for commendable community service, providing for recognition of you. Be it resolved, the selectmen of the Town of Greenwood as follows. Whereas Bob has been the owner of Bob's Corner Store in Greenwood for 4 decades, and Bob has always treated locals and the summer people with the same kindness and generosity. And whereas Bob plowed the Union Church parking lot and Greenwood Historical Society driveway for years at no charge, and be it resolved by the selectmen of the Town of Greenwood that Bob Coolidge is hereby recognized for his great achievements and honors that he has brought upon this community with the 2023 Greenwood Spirit of America Foundation Tribute, and further be resolved that a copy of this resolution is framed and presented to Bob Coolidge for appropriate display. Signed by the Greenwood Board of Selectmen, May 16, 2023.
Thank you.
Rockville Union Church, appreciation walk. Thank you for plowing and keeping the parking lot clean for the past 40 years, and also a lovely wreath at Christmas time at the Rockville Union Church. Thank you so much, and we have one here. We'd like it back at some point so we can post it in the church.
Thank you, Ron.
I gotta do my part. I gotta do my part. Okay. Some of you know, some of you may not know that I went to work for Bob when I was 19 years old. I'd known him my whole life before that, and it was kind of like my dream job, and I loved it so much that I stayed for 11 years, full-time for a while and part-time, and then at the end of it, it was my night out after I had my kids, so one night a week I got to go to Bob's and hang out, and he actually paid me for it, so. All that time, Bob took the best care of me. I think when I was living on Bird Hill, I think there was one winter when I slid out of my driveway into the ditch 17 times, and he came up and pulled me out every time.
And has one of yours when digs the wood pile.
Yeah, he had his opinions. Most of them for good reason. So, I don't think I ever told him until the other day that I loved him, but I've loved him since I was about 3 years old. I'm just going to read what I wrote for the town report. For 4 decades, Bob was a fixture at Bob's Corner Store, previously Lee's Variety on Main Street in Lots Mills. Although he worked 12 to 15 hours a day, often 7 days a week at the store and garage, and was in constant motion, waiting on customers behind the counter, pumping their gas and washing their windshields, or performing car repair magic in the garage, Bob was never too busy to stop what he was doing and chat for a few minutes. Bob never made a distinction between locals and summer people. He greeted everyone with the same warmth and treated them all with the same kindness and generosity. I know that because I was a summer person for the first 18 years of my life. If he knew someone was going through a hard time, he offered what was needed, whether it was a listening ear, reassurance that he'd get their car back on the road, or a few groceries on credit until payday. More often than not, people who came into the store carrying the weight of the world left with a lighter step and a smile. He made the most of his precious little free time, becoming active in the Chorus Shrine Funsters and appearing in costume as Pluto at countless parades and functions. In the winter, for as long as anyone can remember, he plowed the church parking lot and the driveway of the Greenwood Historical Society after every storm, never asking to be paid. Service to his community has always been important to Bob, and because he's always gone about providing it in his typical quiet way, it's likely that most of us have no idea of the full extent of his contributions to our town and its inhabitants. But if you ask around, you'll find that nearly everyone who knows him has a story about a time that Bob made a difference in their lives. We found that out when we posted on Facebook, and I hope you got to read all the stories that people shared. One of Bob's favorite sayings to reassure people that things will turn out all right has always been, 100 years from now, nobody will know the difference. But even 100 years from now, our community will still be a better place because of the difference that Bob made.
Thank you, Bob. I want to make sure everyone who's a registered voter has checked in with Anita to get their ballots this morning. If not, just give her your name, and she'll give you your ballot. Okay. We'll call our meeting to order, annual town meeting, May 20th, 2023. Our first order of business to elect a moderator by written ballot to preside at said meeting. So if I have any volunteers to vote for moderator, we need a nomination.
Nominate Vern.
We have one nomination for Vern Maxfield.
Second it.
Second, by Ken Cole, I believe. Thank you. Now we need 3 ballots written. Any takers? Thank you. I think we're okay. Good morning, Fred. How you doing? Good, good. Thank you. Oh, Vern, guess what?
That's all okay?
You are old, sir. Okay. You, Vern Maxfield, swear to support the Constitution of the United States and this state so long as it is in the state thereof. Do you swear that you discharge all the duties incumbent upon you as moderator of this meeting or election according to the Constitution and laws of the state?
Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to town meeting once again. Congratulations, Bob. I know there's a lot of people in Woodstock who give you the same greetings. We appreciate all you've done. Would you all stand and join me in the pledge, please? Thank you. Are there any non-residents here this morning that we might need? There we go, okay. If you want to speak during the meeting, we would just need to have the people vote for to allow you to speak. Is there somebody that intends to?
I'd like to speak, just to introduce myself, and not on any issues regarding the budget.
Okay. All right, why don't we do that now? Your name?
My name is Matt. Matthew is my full name. Last name's Mallon. I live in Newry now the last couple of years. Been in this area for about 30 years as a skier. I'm a retired chiropractor, and I am on the ballot for the school board. Reason being, I look around the country and I see a lot of what goes on, and you see they're teaching kids critical race theory and transgenderism and drag queen story hour. Dead set against all of that, and if you feel as I do, please vote for me, and I'll see what I can do to make sure that that doesn't happen in our schools here. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Anybody else that wants to just speak during the meeting, maybe? You're all set. Okay, very good. I also would like to have your approval to use the main moderator's manual as our guide for the meeting. If you're okay with you?
It's
straw vote. Thank you. And as always, everybody's going to have a chance to speak, but I will give preference to a second and third speaker before I go back to the first speaker. I think that's only fair to everybody that's here in the audience. And with that, I'm going to read the first article, second article. Article 2, to elect the selectman, assessor, and overseer of the poor by written ballot for a 3-year term starting July 1st, 2023. Any nominations?
Yes. Just want to nominate Bob Orso.
Second that.
Very good. Yes,
I'd like to nominate Lori Bartlett.
Marie Bartlett. Okay, thank you. Any other nominations? Could I have a motion for nominations this evening? So moved. Thank you. Second, all in favor of nominations this evening? Thank you. Okay, at this time, I think we'd like to hear from the candidates before we vote. Maybe Mr. Boyko first.
My name is Bob Oickler. I want on record, I never worked at Bob's Corner Store. But I've got the right name. I live on Row Hill in Greenwood and in the old Bryant homestead. My work, I was in charge of a large nonprofit in Portland, Maine, and about the same size budget as Town of Greenwood. And so I learned a lot through that experience, working with volunteers and members and a board of directors. So a lot of the skills that I acquired in that position, I think would transfer in helping and looking at issues for the Town of Greenwood. I'm currently the treasurer of the Bethel Regional Recreation Board, and I am treasurer for the age-friendly community as well as a conservation commission board member here in Greenwood. And what it helped me realize is how important regionality is for us, because the rec board is a regional effort, and so all of the kids in our region in SAB 44 benefit from all of the programs. And without having that regionality approach, each town would be doing its own thing. As well as the age-friendly community, the same thing. It encompasses all of the communities involved with SAB 44. If I were elected, I would resign those positions because I think it's important to focus hard on selectmen issues here at Greenwood. From day one, when I first moved here, I really began to feel some of what was expressed to Bob, that what Greenwood was all about. Neighbors immediately came over to introduce themselves and make us feel welcome. Kim, when we came up to the town office, I didn't know that she was the person in charge, but she spent probably a half hour with us answering our questions and also trying to understand a little bit about who we were. And I just immediately said, boy, this is a great place. Through the time that we've lived here, we moved here in 2015, I really began to embrace the culture of Greenwood. And if I was elected selectman, that would be a main priority of mine, to preserve that culture and the values and the ethics that emanate from the people. And I felt aligned with those values and ethics, especially those from the folks who were meant to have been long-term residents. So what's my agenda? What's my reason for perhaps wanting to be a select person? I want to preserve that culture. I want to take what's happening in Greenwood and what's happened over the years and keep that going. and at the same time, support any change that may make sense for the town going forward. I feel I'm a good listener. I like to hear all the different opinions before making a decision. And I know the select folks that are involved now, and I think I would fit very nicely to that. So I'd appreciate your consideration.
Thank you very much. Marie?
Can you see above the podium? Can you see above that podium?
My name is Marie Bartlett, and I've lived here for a few years. And it came to my attention about a couple of months ago that no one was running for the vacancy of our selectman, Arnie Jordan. So I was asked if I would come out of retirement and lend a helping hand. I started working for Greenwood back on the rec board. From there, I went 3 years on the planning board. From there, I served 13 years as selectman from this town. I learned during that time to be a good listener, to help solve problems and not be part of the problem. I also, in my career working for the town, I worked with other towns to start up Oxford County Recycling, which consists of 14 towns, and we got a grant from the state of Maine, and we became the second largest recycling facility in the state of Maine. And we were all very proud of that at the time. And I also learned to help people, willing to listen, to read them, and really listen to the people that you represent. And another thing that is very important as a selectman, keep confidences. Very, very important. I did everything for this town. I love this town. And I did everything but dog catching. Let me see what else. I worked with the committee to help purchase the land to get a town beach on the Greenwood Road. So it was the last piece of available property, and the selectmen, we put it to a vote and obtained that piece of property because there was no other place in this town for anybody to swim, period. I also worked with Bethel selectmen to help bring the vote on school budget to each individual town and not at the school itself. Because a lot of people felt very intimidated, because when they got up to talk, they were ridiculed, and Kat Doohan, bless her soul, and myself took a petition around. Took us months, and we got it on the ballot, and that's why you vote each individual town on your school budget. I guess that's about it. And I would appreciate, I'm recycling myself. I can't believe it, but if I do get your vote, I'll be more than willing to take my experience as a selectman of 13 years and carry it forward for the love of Greenwood. Thank you very much.
Thank you both. We got two good candidates this morning. And when you're ready, I'd ask you to bring in your ballots for your choice for selectman, assessor, and overseer of the board. I don't think this mic is working. Just raise it
Involved in television, my hometown. I don't know, something to do this one. My wife's up at the big symposium over there.
I don't know. It's working now? Must be the operator.
John Hall.
Is it still working?
Yeah. And dealings with you folks.
How's that? I guess so. Yeah, I can hear it now.
Did you know Nellie Nichols?
Anybody got a favorite menu, favorite memory of foods they'd like to share? Ken? Thank you.
Growing up, 9 children in my family, and they had a candy counter, and Bob would send me, I want 1 tulip, 1 Powerball. You would go through one by one by one, and he would sit there very patiently and fill out orders.
Yes?
He pulled my sister out of the ice from behind when she just barely ate. My sister had a friend who had walked across the ice the day before, and she said, she can do it, I can do it. Well, my sister didn't get it. You were there?
I was there.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
I was a 14-year-old boy washing dishes at Jordan's restaurant and a bit of a wildcat. And I went out of Bob's corner store. I was fixing up a car at the time to try to get on the road. And I'd buy 1 Remington XP 120 white leaded radial tire. And it was like $45 at the time. Imagine that, right? And then the next week when I got my paycheck, I went down and I ordered a second one, because he can have that. He ordered a second one for me. And then I go back to get it. He goes, let me guess. Are you getting 4 tires for this car? I said, yes, I am, Bob. He says, how about this? He says, I'm going to get you all 4 tires. You just pay me at the end when they're all done. So who would give a 14-year-old kid credit when credit wasn't even a thing back then? And but he didn't know where I worked. And no, he was very respectful to my whole family that way, and even a 14-year-old boy that washed dishes. Just a good human being. Thank you, Bob.
I just get no more experience. I was grandfather from my mom. I was visiting back in school. But near them candy can live. And then I was on the floor there. Once again, I was weekend was just out. Just see how much you get in your pocket. You started feeling it out. I can always lose your money. A lot of Robert did. So he says, I didn't.
Wow. Wow.
Being down, I was tough.
Yeah.
I was scared. But he was a good guy.
Yeah. What a lesson. What a lesson. Anybody else? If you think of something along the way, we'll go back. But here's the results of your vote. There were 27 ballots cast. There were 16 for Bob Boyko and 11 for Mary Bartlett, and I can declare Bob Boyko elected selectman assessor and overseer of the board for a 3-year term. Now, I would just like to take a minute and thank Attorney Jordan for his years on the board. Working with Woodstock, we've had a lot of meetings together over the years. Certainly have come to respect him and appreciate his knowledge and wisdom, and he will be missed, but I know he'll be around in case we need to ask some questions. So, thank you, Aaron. Yes.
Yeah, sure. I also would like to extend my personal thanks to Armin. He's been a wonderful mentor to me on the board. He has given me the ability to look at issues in a broad scope, not just the little individual details that we might be working on, but to take into consideration what has happened in the past and what potentially that might mean to what might happen in the future. So it's really been an honor.
Me too, Mark.
Okay.
So Arnie's been on the board 15 years. I've been on the board 14 years. And when I was asked to run, I called up Arnie and I said, what should I do? Should I run? What do I get myself into? He said, oh yeah, you can do it. It's not that hard. And so I watched every move Arnie made for my first several meetings. And when I think back on it now, he'd been on the board 1 year and he had it down. He knew what he was doing. He was good at it. And after 14 years, I feel like I'm almost up to where he was after a year. So it's been a real pleasure to work with him, and if we could have talked him into running for another 3-year term, we would have.
It's been a pleasure working with the board for 15 years. I've had good people to work with. And as Tim always said, we're a team. And that's the way we operate.
These two gentlemen are part of the fabric of the community, and that's why I love small towns and why I love small town government, for these reasons that they've just mentioned. So let's keep at it. Thanks for everything. Article 3. Shall the town vote to accept the following stipend for the Board of Selectmen for the ensuing year? Selectmen, assessors, and overseers of the poor, $150 per month for each selectman. Could I have a motion, please? Thank you. Second? Been moved and seconded. Any question on Article 3? Yes?
It's not a question, but I think rarely do we be able to get together, the public, and we have 3 select persons who have spent a lot of time, and $150 a month certainly doesn't cover it, so I think we all owe the select board a round of applause for appreciation for all you do for the town. Thank you.
I would second that. Anything else on Article 3? Seeing none, I'd ask you to vote. All those in favor of Article 3 as read, please indicate. Thank you. Those opposed? Article 3 is approved as presented. Article 4. See if the town will vote to increase the property tax levy limit of $1,490,004 established for the Greenwood by the state law in the event that the municipal budget approved under the preceding articles will result
in a tax commitment that is greater than that property tax levy limit. The statement of fact is that every effort has been made to hold the budget increases to a minimum. If adopted as presented, the budget will result in a tax commitment that is below the property tax levy limit. If the preceding articles are increased in excess of $649 by the voters, we will have exceeded the property tax levy limit. A vote on this article requires a written ballot. If approved, the increases do not result in a tax commitment in excess of $1,490,004, no vote is required.
Yeah, question. Is the proper procedure to table this since our articles as written are not going to increase us over the levy limit, and then can take it up again if someone introduces something that does increase it?
I think I would entertain a motion to move it to the end.
I move we move Article 4 until we complete the work on Articles 5 through Article 20.
I would accept that motion. It's been seconded. All those in favor of approving that motion, please indicate. Thank you. Any opposed? We have moved Article 4 to, wait, after Article 20. Yep. Very good. Article 5. To see what sum of money the town will vote to raise and appropriate for the administrative budget, the Selectmen and Budget Committee recommend a total of $351,950. Could I have a motion, please?
I move we approve Articles 5 through 20 with the recommended monetary sums as provided to the town.
It has been moved and seconded to vote on Articles 5 through 20 as one article in the recommended amounts as they're presented to the town. It's been seconded. Any discussion on that motion?
I second.
Yep. Any questions on voting them all at one time? We can discuss any one of them right now if you want to, if you have a question on any one of them. But that's up to you at this point. If you're ready to vote on Articles 5 through 20, I would ask you to vote. All those in favor of Article 5 through 20 as presented, any opposed? Articles 5 through 20 have been approved as presented. We will now go back to Article 4. And I won't bore you with reading it again, but it is a yes vote would allow an increase. A no vote we don't need because we haven't increased anything. So a no vote is really what we need on Article 4. And at this time, I'd ask you to come in. Yes.
I move we vote no on Article 4.
Sure.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to vote no on Article 4. So at this time, I would ask you to bring your ballots in. If everyone is voting that we should vote, I'll ask the ballot box to be closed and ballots to be counted. We're all set. Anybody else thought about anything about Bob they'd like to say? Or I?
is about 10 years older than I am, and when I was maybe 3 or 4 years old, due to some kind of squabble we were having, she held me down and used a red magic marker to put permanent spots all over my face. I don't remember what it was about, but I do remember that for every year after that, when we would arrive for the summer, and the first time I'd go into Bob's, he'd say, well, hi there, chicken pox. And to me, it was a way of him saying, even though you're a summer person from away, I remember you.
You're home.
Yeah.
Yep. Me. Morning. Okay. Results of your vote on Article 4, LD1, there were 25 ballots cast, there was 1 yes and 24 no. You have defeated Article 4. Thank you. Now, on to Article 21. Article 21, to see if the town will vote to set dates when taxes on real estate and personal property shall be due and payable, and after which interest shall accrue. The recommendation is 2 installments in payments. The first installment due Friday, October 2nd, 2023, with interest starting Monday, November 1st. Second installment is due Friday, April 1st, 2024, with interest starting on Monday, May 1st. Have a motion, please.
Yes. I recommend that all business articles 21 through 30 be voted on with the recommendation as a selectman. And basically, what we're going to say about the last one.
Well, we've got a motion now to approve Articles 21 through 30 in one vote. It's been seconded. Any discussion or questions on any one of those articles?
I just want to make sure that.
Yeah, there's no prohibition against doing that?
I'm not aware of any.
I think we've done it the last 6 to 8 years.
What's that?
Have we done it with?
We've done it
I know
for
we've
I
done
don't
it
know how
with
many
the
years.
business. Okay.
Ever since we stopped having lunch.
I thought well, if you're comfortable with it, and there's nothing there that you really want to discuss and debate, I don't want to push it, but if you're ready for the vote,
Yeah,
I'll
make
ask
sure
you.
you look it over.
Yeah.
You want to take, I don't want to hurry you. But if you're ready, I am. All those in favor of approving Articles 21 through 30 as presented with the recommended as stated, please indicate by raising your card. Thank you. Those opposed? Articles 21 through 30 have been approved as presented, and that concludes our meeting, and I would accept the motion to adjourn. Thank you.
I got one more thing.
All right.
Since we're doing all of the sentimental, emotional things in this meeting. Kim had a birthday yesterday. I couldn't bake her a cake because she's one of those gluten-free people, so the selectmen wanted to thank her off and tell you how grateful we are to have her.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Kim. Happy birthday to you.
How many candles?
you all very much. What a great meeting. All in favor of adjourning? Now, thank you. Any opposed? Thank you. All right. Thanks for coming.